Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to go live this morning and to answer any questions or talk about laughter yoga and what it is and why it could be a fun, wonderful practice for you and how you can get involved. And oh, yay! My friend Beth is here. So I have a love affair with Beth. She is, let me just let her in. Can you see me, Beth? Yeah,
You
woohoo!
already made me laugh, Carla, because I was waiting. So you made me laugh. So I actually needed that. My
Well, I was just telling people who are watching this live or maybe who watch the replay that I have this love affair with you because you have a passion for things that I have passion for. And it's interesting how we can learn about ourselves by watching what other people are doing, and we can learn what it is we need still for ourselves and what we have to offer, because we're always in a process of giving and receiving. And so I was just letting everyone know that I'm in this love affair with you with what you're giving right now. You're offering this life school for teens, life school 101, right? For teens. And we talked about it. Beth and I talked about it last week because I just had to share it with people. And as a laughter and joy coach, I'm really committed to giving people an opportunity to feel what it feels like to actually feel happy in the body. And it comes from my own experience of having anxiety at the age of 5,
God.
being terrified almost all the time and being frightened. And really, I didn't really learn that until I was much, much later in life. But as I've been unpacking all the things in my body, laughter yoga has been one of those tools. And it's one of the things that I found helps me to practice joy, because till about my mid to late 30s, I was basically in anxiety and terrified all the time.
Mm.
So I have a deep love for the work that you're doing with teens, because uh, we need our teens to feel loved, to feel connected, to feel supported, and to know that it's okay to feel good in the middle of life feeling wonky.
Yes, 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 and yes. And I'm reminded, and thank you for sharing about life school. But I also, I'm reminded of, and maybe we talked about this the other day, and I'm assuming you remember this, but when I was looking at your program and thinking about what you're doing and remembering Carla and I met when you were participating in the grief yoga teacher training, which I was assisting at Kripalu, which seems like, by the way, I think that was exactly 3 years ago. Because Paul
Okay,
reminded me, he
great.
got like a memory that it was 3 years ago, which seems like it was maybe 15 years ago, because
Yeah,
the pandemic has been like forever.
yeah.
Time is so weird. But anyway, um, so we met in this space around grief yoga teacher training. And one of the things that I can say about grief is that I believe to be true is, again, if we are to love in this life, we're going to grieve.
Yes.
And I know what I very much have really chosen to attempt to embrace, not only be aware of, but embrace, is the duality.
Yes.
And that where there is light, there's dark, where there is joy, there is pain, male, female, all of, sun, moon, all of the duality, and really trying to explore that place in the middle. And I remember during our teacher training, we were there for maybe 10 days or a week. Can you guys even imagine that? By the way, it was like magic. But we were the grief yoga teacher training program, and there
Yeah.
were a lot of us there. And for anyone who's listening, this may sound a little bit odd, but people literally at Kripalu would be like, what is up with the grief group? Because we because we laughed a lot. We celebrated a lot. We did a lot of crying and a lot of anger releasing and sadness releasing. But it really, I will always remember that because it very much speaks to, again, I can only speak for myself, that I have been in like the darkest of the dark, which has also allowed me to experience the lightest of the light, and like the deep sadness, but the extreme celebration and happiness. And so I always think about that time together. And so I love just connecting the dots and seeing how we're here 3 years later. And I was gonna, when I was feeling into today and wanting to ask you, and you sort of touched on it already, just about what you're offering, and what people may not be clear on is, because you write about how you're teaching from a trauma informed place,
Yes.
but you're teaching about laughter and joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would love for you to give, I know what that means because I've experienced it in my own life, but I think those two things it can be challenging to hold them. It's what I do, and I know it's what you do, but I'm not sure if everybody would totally feel that perspective. So if it feels okay for you to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Gosh, I just want to breathe and make some spaciousness for that, because it is really confusing when it's all up in our head. You know, when we're maneuvering life from the head, and the body is having different experiences, but the head and the body aren't talking like consciously. My experience in my own body is that the amount of cortisol and adrenaline in my system that kept me going and kept me just keep on keeping on, there wasn't any space for joy. There wasn't any, I mean, if I looked with my mind's eye outside of myself to the situations and the people and the circumstances going on that scared me, that I felt misunderstood, I felt unseen, unheard, disconnected from, which were all patterns that had started from my childhood, right? And they just kept going through adulthood. By the time I got to my mid-30s, I was really depressed and miserable and tight. And I didn't know it because I was living from here up. And I don't know if you heard me talk about, I spent about 18 months being paralyzed, physically paralyzed, and about 4 years kind of gaining my energy back. And what I learned was that there's a wisdom here that isn't connected to this. Now, there's a wisdom in the mind. There's like, I feel like there's a higher wisdom, there's divine mind. But then there's the busy, judgmental, fear-based hamster wheel mind. And that was the one that was in charge in my life. And that was the one that was going to tell me, this is when you're safe, this is when you're not safe, this is what you do to be in control, blah, 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 blah. And so what happened in my mid-30s into actually, you know, it was kind of a process of like wanting to feel joyful, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to have fun. I knew how to work, but I didn't know how to play and have fun and take time off, because the impetus for life was put your nose to the grindstone, get your work done. People will like you. You'll be okay. You'll be accepted. You'll feel safe. You'll be wanted and needed. And what ended up happening was that I just was tight and scared. And it got to that boiling point that when I became paralyzed, I got to just sit in it, right? And all my coping strategies, you know, eating, exercising, helping people, being busy, all of those things, I couldn't do anything. And I sat in it. And I came to this turning point, which continued to unfold through the coming years, which was, all right, so I hate myself. So I just started noticing all the negatives and realized there's got to be some positives in here because I'm alive. And, you know, like I just tried to believe that there was something positive about me, even though my whole identity was being shattered. And so I couldn't figure out what it would be. And anyway, eventually I did something nice for a friend, and I started to feel good again. And some part of me thought, oh, look, you're feeling good about yourself. And the other part was like, yeah, no, but there's like, yeah, no, 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 like, no, no, no. And I just felt the neural pathways, if you will. It's what I talk a lot about in my trainings. The neural pathways just took me right back to the negativity. And so speed up to when I found laughter yoga, I was in another really intense situation that was unexpected, because like, what's happening here? We're having a messy human life and things happen all the time and they're unexpected. And I started doing that thing that I do where I just hunker down and start clenching and gripping and get through it, the bootstrap thing. And I just knew I have to do this differently because I'm dying inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I found something to laugh at online, which happened to be a laughter yoga program. And I did it for 10 minutes and didn't really understand what the big deal was. And really, I didn't, no, this is not. But my body, after 10 minutes, so happy. I was smiling. I have felt relief. I hadn't felt that kind of relief in probably 2 years. I was able to actually feel myself smiling. I was lighter. I could think more clearly. And what happened was my body took me on the laughter yoga train. My mind, it took 4 years. And so to come back to your question about joy, laughter, and grief, we are all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a part of us. And just like you said, the depth of our grief is the depth of our love. And what I found was I only had really hard things going on for most of my childhood. There were little moments here and there, of course, but the defining theme was heaviness. And we are meant to also feel joy and allow ourselves to laugh, just like babies and children, just for no reason at all. But the habit of it, and even the muscle of it, if you will, stops being able to take us there. And so we get stuck. And that's when people go into constant panic or anxiety or whatever in their bodies. So a laughter practice is simply, we are practicing together doing laughter exercises. We are playing. We are connecting through that playfulness. We are creating laughter, ha, ha, ho, ho, activating the diaphragm, but it's simulated laughter. But when you're in a group, it becomes real and contagious, and you just laugh and it's not funny. And then you're laughing because it's not funny, but you're laughing, right? Laughter, I always say, is forced breathing. You're ha, 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 ha. So you're releasing that carbon dioxide. You're feeling open and more alert, and you release, because the laughter releases that stagnant energy. And then all of a sudden you feel that joy. So that really what happens is, I mean, to me, it's the ultimate emotional liberation program, because then you can really truly feel joy, and you can allow yourself to trust yourself to feel the grief deeply, to feel the love that looks like grief deeply, and to just be in a movement, like it's in motion, right? The emotion is the energy in motion. And the laughter, for me, not only does it help me to breathe more and it releases happy chemicals just because, you know, the body doesn't know the difference, but it also retrains the neural pathways to start to feel happy, to start to feel good, to start to create positive bonds. Instead of always aligning to the negative. And the body starts to train itself. So a great example, Beth, would be in 2017 when my mom had a stroke and she was intubated. They didn't think she would make it. She was on life support. And I had to fly to New Mexico, and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know like what's happening, you know, like it's your mother, right? And I got there and I knew I needed to think clearly, and I was all over with my emotions, and I was in a hospital and I hadn't found a place to stay yet, and all of these things were going on, right? And I put my arms up in the air, because in laughter yoga we do something, we go very good, yay!
Yay!
And you can do this with me, Beth. If you just put your arms up in the air, and for those of you watching, if you just put your arms up in the air and you've got a big smile on your face, it's very hard to feel afraid and grumpy. It really is.
Yeah.
And I have trained my body to laugh when I do that. And so what instantly happened was I began laughing for no reason. Of course, I looked ridiculous because there was no mental reason for me to laugh. But physically, my body got the release, got the oxygen, got the connection, got the support it needed. And then I began to cry, and I began to laugh and cry and laugh and cry, because that releases the same chemical, tears and laughter. And then I cleared myself out. And then I could actually be present and talk to the doctors. So, you know, my story is one of so many, many, many stories on the internet with laughter and laughter yoga. We know it's the best medicine, but we're always looking for something outside of us to give us permission. And just like grief yoga, it's one of the reasons I love grief yoga, because grief yoga gives us permission to feel it, to say why, to punch it out, to throw it down, to liberate it from our system. And that's what laughter yoga does, is it just gives us a chance to breathe and to like,
Yeah.
This has been the world. And you just laugh and let it go.
So there's so much that you said that's so powerful. So I really hope people listen in, because it is, you know, I think that it is, it's our birthright. Laughter is our birthright. And then all this shit happens in the world that it like brings you to like, why would I, like, laughter feels so, how could I possibly laugh in this moment? And I do really appreciate the perspective around we're retraining, right? We're retraining our body and our brain. And maybe you feel, I mean, I know when I've done it, I feel like ridiculous when I'm doing it, until I don't feel ridiculous anymore. And I'm like, this is like, why are more people not forcing laughing? I mean, because then it becomes not forced, just like anything. So it is, loving that, like, laughter as a tool is really fun. And I know, right, it's just to keep reiterating though, that we know what doesn't feel good in our bodies. So many of us have been used to living with, whether it's pain, emotional, physical, and that's what we have been used to. And that's our go-to. And it's not right or wrong or good or bad. It is the experience that you may be having. And so, you know, for you to create this space where it's laughter.
Yeah.
And it's scientific.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I think, you know, in my experience, again, I just keep going back to those moments at Kripalu, because it's like, there is something so amazing and magical to be in a place where you're sharing like the hardest part, and then in an hour later, you're like hysterical laughing. It feels so good. And it's like, and it's so magical. And so, for sake of time too, can you share with people a little bit about what you're offering?
Right. Absolutely. And I just want to say, just quickly from what you said, our bodies deserve to feel good.
Yes.
Our bodies cannot create resiliency and longevity with the constant release of stress hormones in our system. And laughter is a pattern interrupt. Yeah, so I'm going to be leading an online and in person. It's going to be a hybrid version. My first hybrid version.
Where in person are you? Tell everybody.
I am in Santa Cruz, California. So it's near San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah. And that's going to be happening on March 4th through 6th. So it's a Friday evening, a Saturday, and a Sunday. And there will be opportunities. You're going to be learning laughter exercises. You're going to be learning how to connect in a group. You'll be learning where your inner laughter is. You'll be learning about the science and the neuroscience behind laughter, and about positive psychology, positive neuroplasticity. I love to bring the science piece in it. You'll also be learning about the discomfort. You'll learn how to tend to befriend the discomfort in the body, and how to acknowledge, oh, you know, this doesn't feel good. And I don't really like laughing for no reason. And and you'll learn how the mind takes over the body and then sort of holds it hostage, right? And it's like, no, that's not appropriate. No. And that's the thing that kind of keeps us small and scared at times. So laughter opens us up, and this certification training will allow anyone who takes it to be certified as a laughter yoga leader. So you'll be able to lead groups and organizations either online or in person with this practice of laughter yoga. And there's all kinds of tools that you receive. You get a free 6-month subscription to the Laughter Yoga International Pro Zone membership, where you could learn about all kinds of things going on in the field of laughter and wellness. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot of fun. More than anything, some people take it because they want to share it with other people, and that's great. But I will tell you, I took the laughter leader training twice because I just needed it for myself. I needed permission to let go of my mind and my body, and to feel good and to laugh for no reason, and to be in a group of people where we had permission to just be like, and to breathe and to play. It's powerful.
Your laugh just makes me laugh. It makes me happy. And it's true, but it's like it's coming back to play.
It's coming back to play.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody right now that would say, I've got enough play in my life. I've got enough joy and enough play. I mean, right? There is always room. And now more than ever, it's like, coming back to that place of just, and I like that you shared, and that you don't have to do this because you want to learn how to teach it, that you can do this because just to be in a space of joy for a weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And really my commitment, my deep passion is emotional and mental health and well-being. And when we are laughing, we are out of our left brain, our linear mind, the thinking, the fear-based thoughts, and all of those things. We're in our right brain. We're in our creativity. We're in our play. And we're opening up and we're letting go of the negative habits and just expanding into positivity. And it's amazing what it will do for your mental and emotional health. In fact, I've had students who've come back to me because at the end of a training, you get a buddy, a laughter buddy, and
a laughter buddy.
You get a laughter buddy. Yes, exactly. And your invitation is to laugh together every day for 10 minutes for no reason. And they're in that practice. That's a spiritual practice in itself, because you'll start to recognize like, wow, okay, I didn't know this was so hard for me, because we start to learn how much of our mind is in our body. We don't need to use our judgmental mind. Like when you're exercising, it brings you into the moment. You feel better, right? Laughter is exercise, and it will bring you into the present moment like that. And you might end up feeling tears, but they will move through, and you'll start to feel more aliveness and lightness and connection to your true self.
I'd be so curious to know too, the people's perspectives of, when they begin, and the resistance that they may notice around it. Because I imagine most people, I mean, I know when I've done it, I'm resistant in the beginning. It's always like, oh my God, like I'm having a really shitty moment. Don't make me like do this awkward and feels
I
weird.
don't like it.
And then how you feel, or how I have felt afterwards. So I can imagine like after numerous hours of learning and experiencing with the mind, with the body, through laughter, it'd be really fun to sort of observe we observed it in our teacher training in that way, but how it becomes like normal to play and laugh. And that's like, what if we expected more of that from ourselves?
It is normal. It is actually normal. If you watch babies and children before they've been programmed to take on fear, they are having the moments of tears and the moments of laughter, and they're moving and they're living in life. It's very normal. We are living in a sick society where things are not normal. It's not normal to be, we're in a very abnormal time right now. And so this is the time to commit to oneself, to be really generous and gentle and kind and compassionate and loving and playful and fun, and just like let it go. I can't control the world. I can control myself. What do I want to bring in?
Even if it's for just a few minutes.
Even if it's just for a few minutes.
I love what you're doing, and it's just power. It's very powerful, and you're like the perfect person to share it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beth. I
You're
appreciate
so
it. And if
welcome.
anyone's interested, please send me a private message, or you can go to my link in my bio and there's a place to sign up for it, or you can just always email me. I would love to talk with you more about it. Thanks, Beth. I look forward
You're
to talking.
so welcome. And anyone who, participates will be so lucky to have you as their guide. It's just really
Oh,
special.
yay. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right. Mwah. So good to see you, lovely.
Happy
Good to
Friday, everybody. Have a good weekend.
have a great weekend. Go out and do something fun for yourself. What are you doing to allow and create more joy in your life? Ask yourself that question, and then maybe try a few things to just have some fun and lighten up. We do not need to practice being serious or heavy or depressed.
I mean, I needed this today. I needed this. I'm going to go and figure out what the F I'm going to do to lighten up my day.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Beth. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank
Mwah.
you. Thank you.
Lots of love. Love everyone.
Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.